What's up, everybody? This is Cameron. You're watching Cameron's Outdoor Academy. So today we're going to be doing some fishing out on a creek. Now, I've never been here before. It's looking pretty good. Here, take a look at this side. As you can see, the water's pretty low. Water's down pretty low. It's got a lot of pollen and stuff on top of it. It's not flowing like pretty much all of our creeks are around here. I've got some brim on the bed. I'm noticing. If you can, I don't know if you can see her right there. Let's take a look. I don't know how good you can see her, but got a brim on the bed there. Got some more brim bedding over there. So last night was a full moon night, and that's when they start bedding up again. Every full moon, from what I can understand. I got another nice bed over there. Looks like a decent sized bluegill on that one. So this is where we're at. And it's over here, gets a little bit deeper. Got some fish smacking the top of the water. Had a dragonfly just touched the top of the water and one nailed it. So that's probably telling me I need to fish with a dry fly. But not a bad little spot. Unfortunately for fly fishing, I've got all this cover, and if you look behind me here, I mean, this is going to be a fun spot to fly fish at. But you know what? I'm up for a challenge, and when it comes to fly fishing these South Georgia creeks, you ain't going to find one perfect. So first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I set up my fly rod. I keep my fly rods inside of a hard case. Fly rods is the easiest rod in the world to break. So I keep them in a case because I learned the hard way, you need to. I carry 2 fly rods with me. Now, just so happens this case here is big enough for 2 rods. Lay that sucker right here on the ground. And I know that my rods that I'm going to be using is going to be my shorter rod. You see right here where I've tied my line on to my hook guide? The reason I did that is because if you just roll it all up into your fly rod or fly reel, it'll get caught in the corners and it's a booger to get out. So that's why I do that. It really saves time. So let's get this thing set up. Start with the biggest, thickest one. What I do is I kind of rotate it on so it'll snap, it'll kind of hold better. Now, I seen this on YouTube, and it makes you look like a pro when you're setting up your fly reel, because once you get to a certain point with these things, they're so long that it's aggravating. So I pull out some extra line. See where right where your fly line and your leader starts, and put that through. Now don't set this, I'm going to sit it down, but don't sit it in sand. You want to put it on top of your tackle box or something, because you don't want sand and grit in your fly reel, because then you got to start cleaning stuff more often. And yes, you do need to clean your reels, but the less sand you have in it, the better off you are. So, and you just run it just like that all the way up. Sit that right there down on top of those other rods on my tackle box. Just make sure all your eyes line up. And don't miss an eye, because that makes your cast not do too well. And there you are. Now, I already mentioned that we already have fish hitting top water today. And they were hitting dragonfly, but I don't see any other nymphs or flies falling on top of the water. Got a tip for you here while I'm thinking about it, is when you get to your spot that you're going to fish at, don't set up your fly before you get to the bank. The reason is because when you get here, you may come in contact with a different type of fly that's on the water. You might come in contact with different flies that's landing on top of the water that you see, that you may have something that matches that. So don't limit yourself. Go ahead and look at your water, take your time, watch your fish, Don't rush nothing before you get started. So I know that they're starting to hit top water over here in the shade. I know that the mayflies had just got done, so I'm pretty sure they're pretty accustomed to eating mayflies. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put on a mayfly. Little box, I bought this off eBay. I think I paid $8 for the flies in the box. That's the little fly that I'm gonna be fishing with. It looks like a small mayfly, or it also can look like a cricket too. So, and I may end up changing flies, but you got to start somewhere. Normally I change flies 3 to 4 times through until I find exactly what they've hit. Now this is a bigger fly. So next thing I'm gonna do is, since I seen them smacking top water, we're gonna put some of this top ride by Loon on. It's a pretty good fly floating. Now this is a powder. I had some liquid. I like the liquid better. It seemed like it worked better that I've noticed so far. I don't have any more liquid. I'm gonna buy some. But let's see what happens, guys. All right. So we know they're not really interested in that fly. And I'm wondering if see, I have about 5 foot lead on it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna extend my tippet out so it's further away from where they are seeing the fly at, and see if I might can give it a more delicate presentation. So the way to do that is, you got your main line that you're using. Here's my tippet. Now I know you can't hardly see it, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I take this little line here, I put it in my mouth, so I don't have that many hands. So I'll do a basic overhand knot. And I'll tie it. I'm gonna do the same thing with this end. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now make sure when you do this that you tie the correct line, because if you don't tie the same line that you're working with, it's not going to work. And then they just come together and bite off the extra. I'm going to add probably, I know I'm going to lose probably about 3 inches once I tie it, so I'm going to add about, I don't know, 3 foot to it. And I'm going to put on a little streamer, just a little yellow with a white tail. And this is a sinking fly, so I'm probably fixing to lose it. And with these, I just use a basic clinch knot. Now there is better knots to tie. I have not mastered all the knots to fly fishing, because there's a bunch of them. But you can use a clinch knot for about anything when it comes to fishing. But let's step back down here. One thing I will say, when you are fly fishing, the extra line that you have, either roll it up back into your reel, or take it and, so see how I got the line? I don't know if you can see that or not. I got it all, I'm holding it. And the reason is because, number one, if you are walking and you're holding your fly, like this right here, and you're holding your fly, and this line's on the ground, it's going to send that fly right into your finger. Trust me, I learned that the hard way. This makes it different. Untangle yourself, because y'all are going to get tangled up. I could definitely tell the difference between these two different flies. Number one, it threw better, and then when I added that extra tippet, there was less impact on the water surface. I enjoy fishing streamers actually more than I do wet or dry flies. The reason is because it's more of a moving way of fishing because you keep reeling. You're up there. Yo, it's got him. Now my mama told me that she wants to fry fish tonight. So these guys are coming home. See what happened right there? I didn't do what I told you I was gonna do. There we go, guys. Nice little red breast, thick little fish. That'll make mama happy. And everybody knows that if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. So my mama's been watching my videos, and she told me that I had better catch her some fish and bring them back home. And if I didn't, then I may not have a place to live, because unfortunately right now I'm staying with my parents. But that's a long story for a different day. Back to fishing. Oh, see, I set this hook too early on that one. Got to give them a little bit of time. See, it's a narrow window between the time that you actually set the hook and you let them have it, because if you let them have it too long, they'll actually swallow it, and then you about have to keep the fish because else it's in its gills, especially when you're dealing with these small flies. You kind of want to be Johnny on the spot with the hook set. Now, tip the fly cast. When you first start out, don't try to make long casts. You get you a little piece of feather or something small with no hook in it, and practice taking it. And you want it to, when you flip it, you want to practice it going straight out, just like that. Directly in front of me there, all the way across there, was some feeding brim, and I was trying to reach them. I could see them, but they just were not. I could not get it presented to them properly. Every time I'd present it to them, they would run away because I was putting too much. My loop was hitting the water too hard, because the way where I was fishing it, I couldn't get a good cast because of the limbs and stuff behind me. But when you're fishing in tight areas, you just got to fish the way you can. Ponds, stuff like that, you can get a good presentation, but it's hard to get a good presentation when you're dealing with these South Georgia creeks. Another thing I want to mention is, watch the way I throw this. So when I cast, my rod never comes past my ear. See how I pull it back, and it comes to my ear, and then I throw it back. The proper way to throw a fly line is you want to keep your wrist at an. Oh, we got another one. Yep. So what happened there was I touched that tree limb, and as soon as I got in that tree limb, I lost a little bit of tension on that line, and it came out of his mouth. With fly fishing, you have to keep that tension tight. If not, you will lose fish. But so it's all about angles with fly fishing, and you want to keep your wrist at a 90-degree angle. You want that fly and that fly rod to come up to your ear, and you want to flip it back down. You see that loop that I'm throwing in that, when he goes out, you'll see a loop. That's what you want to watch. Now, Orvis Guide to Fly Fishing is awesome information about how to fly fish. Also, Mad River Outfitters, they do some really good fly fishing videos.
If you're new to fly fishing, I would highly recommend you going and watching those guys. They do really good. Much better than I could ever explain to you. They are professional fly fishing teachers. And it's a free wealth of knowledge that you have there on YouTube. There we go. That was just a baby. I catch a lot of small fish out of these creeks. It don't matter about how big they are or small they are. They're still fun to catch. Unfortunately, this one here had gotten the hook a little bit too much, and I had to use the old stick technique. Oh, there I go, dropping fish again.
Dropping fish. I think I drop a fish in every episode. Nice little bluegill or little sunfish. Not a Moby Dick.
And with all the racket and everything I'm making, those two brim on those beds directly in front of me, they are still there.
You notice every time I get in a hurry to do something, it don't work out. That's because fly fishing is not designed for a fast.
Notice how I work my fly. I start out to the left-hand side, and then I got another one. There was a lot of brim up in those sticks and stuff.
And once you find the fly that they're hitting,
Yep, get another stick. But notice how I start by working my left-hand side of the screen, and I cast out, and then I work that. The reason I'm doing that is because there was some sticks and stuff behind me, and I could get a cast out that way, but I couldn't cast directly in front of me or to the side of me. So what I'm doing is I'm working my line out there. That's a decent little fish, pretty. And I'm using that extra line to shoot it up in the right-hand corner. That's what happens. That's why you have to be careful when you're fly fishing. Is small techniques like roll cast, fishing downstream, and then shooting your line upstream works really well. And it helps you get a better presentation without spooking all the fish off. I'd rather mess with the water down from me than I would directly around me. See that technique there? I flipped the line back behind me, and then I flipped up because I couldn't reach that area because of the stumps or the limbs and stuff that was in my way.
This bluegill here is not on a bed.
And the reason I'm not working the entire water column, all the water that's closer to me, because it was really shallow there, and I could see all the fish in that area, and there was really no fish there that I was interested in catching. They were all pretty small. All the bigger fish was along that opposite bank. This was certainly one of the better places I fished at. It brought back a lot of memories of when I was a kid. We used to take, which this is kind of what got me into fly fishing. we would take brim busters with just a hook and a cricket, and we would wade creeks, and we'd flip those crickets along those stumps and stuff on the corners of on the edges of the creeks, and we used to tear up the big old red breast and bluegill, and that's what I grew up doing. And fly fishing just lends itself right up in that. But now I ain't got to buy crickets; I just buy flies. If you'll notice, directly in front of me right then, we just had some brim start running. So that's what I'm throwing to there. You can see them hit on top water. Oh, and he hit it. I truly am in love with fly fishing. It's a really fun way to catch fish. It's challenging, but it's really fun. Well, that's a decent sized little brim there.
Mama loves her some good old red breast. And I like to make Mama happy. So I'm going to step around to the front of the camera. Make sure I get a good shot of this fish. Oh, there I go, drop them again. Oh. That's a decent sized little red breast. Pretty fish. And besides, to be honest with y'all, if I don't take them home with me, as much traffic as there is here, they ain't gonna last long.
The place I was fishing at, you could see a path where folks had been walking up and down that creek. It was just off of a road about, I don't know, probably less than a mile from a little town. And I figured there wouldn't be too many fish in it because of how much traffic was there. But boy, was I wrong. That little place is just loaded with fish. I think because of the water level has dropped so much that they're kind of caught in some small pockets. But there was a lot of fish there. I highly doubt in a month from now there'll be that many fish there because of all the people fishing it. So I didn't feel bad about taking some of these home. And Mama sure was happy when I got to the house and showed them to her.
See, that one came right out behind those bushes and stuff. Uh-oh, tuck that feet in.
See how I'm trying to keep my rod tip low? It really helps when you keep your rod tip low when you're fly fishing, because it keeps tension on the fish.
Or red breast, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to lay that right there on that. Now, I did not bring my stringer with me today, so I might have to make it. Let me see if I got the stuff in my tackle box to make a stringer. Another decent little brim. Not monster, but it's thick. That's about the size Mama likes right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a stringer. Pick up any stick and preferably notch it. Now if you had a pocket knife you could do that. Unfortunately I ain't got one with me. And I tie a clinch knot and cinch it up to that notch. Then grab you another piece of stick with a Y in it like this right here. Now this is completely on just off my head, so if this ain't perfect then, and notch that one. Hang on. That one was a little bit drier. And no, I do not have worms and everything else you'd think I'd have. And then do it again. Do another clinch knot into that notch you just made. Get your piece of line. And these ain't got to be perfect because you're not gonna be having any tension on them. I just don't want the fish getting away. Just cinch that bad boy down. Then with this side here, take it like any other stringer. Run your fish down your stringer. And there you go. And then what I do, I'll step down here to the edge of the water, put your fish in the water, stick your little stick that you got in the ground, and there you go. It's a baby. That's a dark little bluegill there. Well, I was going to show y'all, but he decided he wanted to hurry up and get out of here. He must have been having. Oh, I thought you lost that fish. Oh, nope, I didn't. Now this here sink the river if I pull him out. I don't want to pull him out of the water, guys, because if I pull him out, he might sink the water down. No, he's good. Now that right there, that's a brim. We need him to be about a couple of ounces bigger. Guys, I think the fish slowed down, and I believe I'm finna head to the house and do some cleaning. So, thank y'all for watching. Until next time, if the good Lord's willing, or the creek don't rise, I'll see y'all on the next one. Y'all take it easy. Be good.